guys! So this week, instead of sitting down and typing out some random blog posts and counting it as a success for the week, I decided that I'm going to give the vlog a try. Now, I've never tried anything like this before, so if you like the way it turns out, leave something in the comments to let me know. So it's officially been 1 month and 4 days since I arrived here in London, and I think it's safe to say that I've actually started to acclimate to my surroundings here. So part of the learning curve of living here in London has been studying at a different university with different standards, but the major part of my time has been dedicated to learning the do's and don'ts of living in London. So that includes how to dress when you're going certain places, how to pronounce certain things. It's pronounced Leicester Square, not Leicester. And how to travel throughout the tube system. A couple weeks in, I posted that people were stopping me to ask for directions either because I looked like a Londoner or because people could recognize a kindred spirit in the fellow lost and confused American. I think now it's that people think that I fit in. Now that I've had the opportunity to kind of get used to where I am, I've started to venture out a little further beyond our lovely little strip of Baker Street. Now, part of what I've done is some excursions to other places in the UK, including Ireland, and yesterday I actually took a trip to Stonehenge and to Bath. These trips have been absolutely amazing to be a part of, but they've made me think a little bit more about the actual culture of the place where I'm studying. And this has kind of started to go hand in hand with one of my courses that I'm taking here at Regents, Cultural Psychology. So over the past week in our cultural psych class, we've been talking about the countries that ask for immigrants to assimilate versus integrate into the pre-existing culture of the country. That basically means, do the countries that these immigrants go to ask them to integrate and be peaceful with other cultures while maintaining their own culture, or do they ask them to abandon their own culture and adapt to the nationalistic perspective that the country already has? We often use phrases to describe the status of this integration or assimilation of cultures into a specific country. In the States, we often hear the phrase melting pot to describe the assimilation of all these cultures as they blend together to become one American culture. And recently I've actually started hearing the phrase of a cultural salad being used in the States, and that's to really represent the integration of the cultures as they all come together to form a delicious salad that blends together, but you can still point out the individual ingredients in the heterogeneous mix. What's really impressive for me to see is that Great Britain and the UK as a whole actually does have a multicultural policy, and that basically means that when people immigrate to the UK, when they come into the UK, they are expected to have that sense of national pride of being a part of the UK, but they're also expected to maintain their pre-existing cultural norms and beliefs. So we talked about this in class, and I believed it, but I don't think it really sank in until what we did today, which was going to the Chinese New Year celebration in Trafalgar Square. Now, this was an absolutely amazing experience because this celebration for the Lunar New Year is actually considered to be the biggest New Year celebration outside of Asia. There were thousands upon thousands of people crammed into this 130,000 square foot area. Yes, I did look it up. And it was just so amazing to see how many people of different cultures were there to participate in this celebration for what is generally affiliated with Asian cultures. Now that's current day cultural ideology in Britain. But also this weekend, I was able to see how other cultures have come to the UK to influence the construction of British history altogether. Now, the Romans came and established the city of Bath in about 60 AD, and they came and brought with them many aspects of their culture, including their religion, which included the Roman gods and goddesses. Now, in the actual city of Bath, they built a temple to the goddess Minerva, who is the equivalent of the Greek goddess Athena in being the goddess of war and wisdom. Now, when you first pull up to the city of Bath, it's kind of bizarre because the first thing you see, it just looks like a painting of the seaside in Italy. It's all these buildings built right into the cliffside bordering the water, and it's this beautiful stonework everywhere, and you look at it and you think, did I take a wrong turn? Am I still in England? So you may not know this about me, but this past semester I completed my sophomore essay for the honors program at Susquehanna. And to do so, I worked with one of the English professors to create an analysis of how Shakespeare's plays The Tempest and A Midsummer Night's Dream actually influenced today's current societal views on the environment. Now, one of the connections that I made in that paper was that at the time that Shakespeare wrote A Midsummer Night's Dream in the 1590s, it actually was very common for the name Titania, which was used for the fairy queen, to be used interchangeably with the name Diana to represent the Roman goddess of the woods and animals. And that connection made sense, but I didn't quite understand how Shakespeare got a hold of Roman goddesses to begin with. Like, why did he decide to use that? And then we went to Bath this weekend, and I saw that actually, although the temple that was erected in Bath was mainly in honor of the goddess Minerva, there were also altars on site that were to pay homage to other goddesses, including the goddess Diana, who was the goddess of animals. Now, if I hadn't already wished that I came on this trip before I wrote the paper, now I definitely wish I had, because then I could have included that connection. Anyhow, I'm getting off track. So basically, this whole weekend was an amazing experience that really enlightened me to how different cultural values are incorporated and go towards building the current cultural idea. We wouldn't have this amazingly vibrant city of London in the capacity that it is without there being so much openness towards being multicultural. I mean, today, as a part of the festivities for the Lunar New Year, we had the ambassador, the Chinese ambassador to the UK, standing up there and speaking. We also had letters from Theresa May, the Prime Minister, and from Her Majesty herself, telling us how wondrous the event was and that she hopes that it will be a prosperous new year for us all. Finally, to just round out this entire rant, I am just so looking forward to spending the rest of my time here, getting a full grasp of all the different cultures that are here and how they are all being incorporated to form this wonderful cultural salad that we all like to talk about. Before I start rambling on even more, I'm going to call it quits for this video. Make sure that you check our Facebook page to keep up with all the adventures of myself and Brittany here in the UK and beyond. And check back next week for another blog post.